Hello and welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Allmark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And today I thought we would have some fun with things that we have in our craft room. So we always have some designer series paper and little scraps and things that are over. So we need for this 2 pieces of 2.5 inches square. So 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. So 2 pieces of that. And we are then going to, and I'm using the mini trimmer because it's easier for me to put on the desk. But you can use your normal trimmer. And there's me with little tiny bits coming off where I've trimmed it down before. And we are going to take this designer series paper and we are going to cut it at 1 1/4. So we're going to cut it at 1 1/4 and then turn it round and cut it at 1 1/4. So you will have 4 pieces which are 1 1/4. Excuse me a minute. Oh, got a tickle in my throat. 1 1/4. Right, so we've got 4 pieces like that. Then we're going to take the second piece, which again is a scrap. Excuse me a minute. Oh, I need to get myself a drink. So this is 2.5 inches, and we're going to put it at 1 1/4. Line it up. My lights are very bright, so it's difficult for me to see. And we're going to cut that in half and then turn it round and 1 1/4. So we will have 4 pieces which are 1 1/4 inch square. Whoops. 1 1/4. Like this. Now you can do it with designer series paper. You can do it with cardstock. You can do it with actually whatever you want. So we have 4 pieces in 2 different styles of designer series paper. And then I have cut, purely because it's easiest for me to do, 2 more squares just out of some scraps of white cardstock, which are 2.5 inches across. And we are going to put, with a little bit of wet glue, which is on my other desk, bear with me a second, grab hold of my wet glue. Right, we are then going to put these squares on here, and so we'll take 1 of the 4 and we're going to put 1 in one direction, or 1 using one side and 1 using the other. So because this is cut at 2.5, it's relatively easy to line up. So we want it right at the side, which hopefully is as good as I can get it with my lights. And then we're going to turn the next piece over so we have the other side, and we're going to glue that. And once you've done this pattern, it's a bit like a quilting pattern. I was doing some crochet the other night and I thought, actually that might be quite a fun thing to do with the cardstock. So which one are we going to use? That one, I think, on that side. So this one is going to be the other side, so we'll glue that one first and put that one this way round. So you've got 2 running in one direction and 2 running in the other direction. And if there are, you see that's not completely straight on my thing, but it's straight in the centre. If it doesn't completely line up, then you can trim it down afterwards with your paper trimmer to just sort of get, you know, 1/8 of an inch off of there. As I'm always saying to you, my lights make it really quite bright, so sometimes I can't. And what I want to do is to make sure that the inside part is done rather than the outside part. Okay, so that's one. And then you would do exactly the same thing with the other piece. And if you're doing a square, you do 4. So this one would have this side of the paper, or that side of the paper. And you'd have this side of the paper. So you'd have a rather nice one that's got purples and greens. And exactly the same thing, just stick it down. So you've got 4 like that. So I'm not going to do all of these because, as you can see what I'm trying to do. So you would then have 4 of them. And I will show you ones that I've sort of finished. That one I'll do later. So once you've got that, then we're going to take a punch. Now, I found that the daisy punch, which is this lovely one, which I got out the other day to show you with a card, is really great for doing this. So what we need to do is we're going to put this inside. However, it's not going to fit very well. So if we take a piece of sticky note, I'm just going to tear off a bit of sticky note. On the other side, I'm going to just put that in like that. Then I can feed it through. Now you are going to feed it through, and the center you want to line up with the center of this cross. So you can see that you can line up this one, this one, this one, and this one to get them exactly where you want them. So I can line that one, needs to come over that way a bit. That one needs to come down. So just spend a few moments because it makes all the difference if you get it exactly where you want it. And then when you've got it as accurately as you want, that's about right, just a little bit over that way. Okay, you can then see before I punch it that this is, you've got half of that, half of that, half of that, half of that, and that center is right in the middle. Now, this does take a bit of a push, so I can't do it without standing up, and I'm going to give it a real heave-ho to get it through, because you are putting it through cardstock and designer series paper. But you then have, and then you're going to very carefully take this piece out as well, because we want to use that one as well. So you can see that's just come a little bit over the edge. Doesn't really matter, because you are then left with 2. Let's take this one off of here carefully. Oh, and it might just have come over that top bit as well. No, not quite. Just okay on there. So this is very, very tight to the edge. Again, not absolutely vital. But then what you can do is you can take another piece which is 2.5 by 2.5, and you can stick that onto here just to give it a little bit of extra stability and support. So I'm going to do that now to this one so you can see sort of the finished part. And I'm using wet glue because I do find wet glue is the easiest, but make sure that you put the wet glue down. If you've got sticky sheets, you could do this with sticky sheets, but we don't all have sticky sheets, and it's as easy to do just with a bit of wet glue. And it's just quite a fun thing to do. I quite enjoy patchworky things. As I say, I'm working on a crocheted piece at the moment. So I'm going to put this in this way, because we are doing it with that little piece that's come off. I'm just going to put it down first, and then make sure that that little piece is just where I want it, because that's not quite. Get that in there. There we go. Okay, and then you can put that down. So you then have a positive and a negative. So this flower, take these little pieces off, is really rather nice because you've got this great sort of double pattern. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you, now that I've taken those, I have done some with some more so that I could show you exactly what I'm trying to show you to do. So I cut out 4 like this, which I think if you put them, so I think we're going to put them, this is obviously because it's 2.5 inches. If you take a piece of 5" by 5" cardstock, you can then line that up perfectly to go in there and just put a sentiment. You want it to come the same one way as the other. So we'll start with this one first, because I've got a few ideas with different ones that I've done. So this is the one that, and I've just got to put it together. So what I did was I did a thank you, which is from this daisy, because at the moment whenever I'm going out, which isn't very much at the moment, but when I'm going out, I'm just taking a card and dropping it through a neighbour's letterbox or somebody like that, just with a thank you for all the people that are doing so many amazing things for us at the moment. It is all the doctors, all the nurses, all the postal workers, everybody that's keeping everything going. And we don't know for how long, but I just wanted to thank them all. So that's why I'm doing sort of thank yous more than anything. So this, I just cut out one piece from our, I can't even remember what they're called. They're the Brights collection of, what's it called? Brights Designer Series paper pack. However, you can do whatever you want with it. So I'm just going to glue these down so we can see how they work. And again, what I did was the ones that were a little bit too had come over on the edge a bit, I just trimmed them down with the trimmer so I could get nice shapes on them. So again, I might have to trim this down, I'm not sure. We're just going to put it on there. So I'll have the pink one at the top like that, and then we want a purple one next to it. So the purple one's going to go there. Make sure my words are the right way up. But it's a lovely way to use up lots of little bits of scrap, and you can use whatever colours you want. Doesn't have to be, any pieces of Designer Series paper that you've got. Oh, I might need to just make sure that that's in. You want to make sure that this middle part is lined up more than the top. So where I've trimmed that down, we're a little bit short, but that doesn't matter because we can sort that out with the trimmer afterwards. So as long as you make sure that your middle is lined up. And so this one is going to come down in on here, and make sure my words are the right way up, because this is script with the words up. So that's got to go in, so that's in the centre. And then this one is going to go on the other side. Whoops, a little bit more glue on there. And so that can go in on here. Make sure that's lined up in the centre, because that's the bit that we want to be lined up more than anything else, like that. And then what I need to do is to just trim these bits around the edges so that it all lines up. So I can do that with a paper trimmer quite easily. In fact, I can do that while I'm here. Don't know whether it'll go into, I think it's a bit big. Have a look and see. Because it's 5 inches, I don't think it will fit in. I think this is 4, and oh, it might do. It might do. Okay, so I need to just put it through and just take that up on that edge so that that's all lined up completely straight. Okay, so that's that bit, and then you've got a relatively straight, that's not quite, need to just take it a little bit more on there, but you can see what I'm trying to do. I won't do it all now because it is a matter of just, it's quite tough on this. It's everything falling down in front of me. In fact, it's probably easier because my hands aren't particularly strong, so I bash away at it. I'm going to do it with the paper trimmer actually. So let's get the paper trimmer. Now I've made a right old what's-it at the top of there. So get my paper trimmer out. You might not be able to see all of this in here, which is why I've don't often get the trimmer out, but if I take it up in on there like that, that'll work perfectly. So make sure that's in. Okay, that should have taken that piece off with a bit of luck. Yeah, that's better. And then I just need to go round and do all of the other sides. I'm not going to do it all now, but I will trim off those edges so that those edges become a little bit nicer. And then all you need to do is to put the sentiment in through on the centre, put it onto a card base, and that's the first one done. So that gives you an idea on there, and I might just sort of take it down a bit, I'm not sure, but I really love the way it's sort of patchworked. This one, as I said, I will take these and put them literally, because it's the 5-inch, I can line them completely straight up one on the other and put them in that way. And then again, I can put, I'm not going to glue those down for you because you can see what I'm trying to achieve. And then we can put this one in on the center. And again, so you've got 2 cards out of 1 from there. And I love the way these are worked. You could, if you wanted to, just take these and, to get the right pairs, and just sort of offset them and just do a different coloured flower. However, I like them separate for this because you have got this lovely cross going through on the centre of each one. So you need to make sure you've got them the right way up on there. But you've got your cross going through, which makes it look lovely. And then the last idea was, and I'm just going to take a piece of just normal cardstock on here, is I said you could do it with what do we call it, cardstock. So all I've done is 2 different, I think it was Blackberry Bliss and Gorgeous Grape in the cardstock. And so when you cut that out and you take your piece at the centre, you can then offset it and put the light in the light like that, and your dark in the dark, and obviously just put them in right so that they lie flat. And then I'd put the other one in underneath, so I've got light there, I want dark, so I'm just doing 2 for this one like that, and then light at the top. Yes, light, light, dark, dark in there. So you've got a nice sort of double effect running through. And then I'd probably put it on a coordinating piece of cardstock at the back. Let's see what, have I got any strips here? Yes, you see this is some cardstock, which is the fresh fig and the back of the one that's that quite a few of us have probably got. So if I put that behind and put that on top, and then took a sentiment, let me just take this thank you just as an example, and put that over the top, you've got another idea. And if you want to put something in the centre, why don't you use our faceted gems if you've got any of those? So the faceted gems will give you, let me just get some of those out. Where have I got my faceted gems? Here. The faceted gems in the centre will give you a really lovely, if you get one of the bigger ones, see on there, just in the centre, will give you another little piece. If you haven't got any gems, then use a little circle punch. If you've got a circle punch, if not, draw around something. You can always take a you know, a pen lid like that, draw around and cut it out if you haven't got circles. If you've got a little circle, then let me have a look and see what I've got. I've got a little tiny weeny one with a bit of a flower on it. So if I took, what colour am I going to do? I'm just going to do it from a piece of white just to sort of show you how you could make a little centre. Oh, cramping my finger. So let's take a little scrappy piece from here, So as I say, if you haven't got any pearls or gems or anything, just put a little centerpiece in on there if you wanted to. Oh, that looks quite nice actually. Might put another little one in on here. And that will, whoops, as I say, I'm not putting all of this together because it's giving you ideas. Like that, and then that little sort of one in the center like that. That on the front like that. And there you go. So just by doing this, this interesting squares. So just to recap, in case you had forgotten the measurements and things, you need one piece of cardstock, which is, for each one of your squares, one piece of cardstock, which is 2.5 inches square. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2.5 inches square. And then you cut it in half at 1.25 inches. So you have 1.25 inch little squares, and then you flip alternate ones to make your square. Okay. And then, as I say, you can punch whatever you want. You could use a leaf punch. You could use the daisy punch. You could use whatever you want and then just mix and match it as you want. So an idea for you. Hope you enjoyed it. I will finish these ones off and they'll be on the front screen. So thank you so much for watching me. Stay safe, everybody. Look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.